Hello, friends, and welcome to Ripley's Aquarium of Canada. My name is Danielle. I'm one of the educators here at the aquarium, and we are going to be sharing with you something amazing with our seahorses. Now, this is for our March break programming, so we're going to have a new feeding every week during March break. This is our first one at the seahorses, and we are going to start off with our land acknowledgement, and then we will go right into seeing the cool seahorses. Ripley's Aquarium of Canada acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Today, the meeting place of Toronto, also known as Tuckeronto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing, is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to work on this land. So today we have our very exciting educator, Toki, sharing with us all about seahorses. Welcome, Toki.
Hey there, Danielle. Good morning, or hello, folks. I hope you're doing well so far. Like Danielle mentioned, we are showing you our seahorses, and right now you can see them eat their food. Just to give a bit of an introduction to our seahorses, these ones are called Potbellied Seahorses. They are the largest of the seahorses. There are about 42 species. They are the largest of those 42 species. And just to share a cool fact, aside from them being the largest, we got them, our Potbellied Seahorses, from a very interesting way. These seahorses, we received them from a trade with the Toronto Zoo. So what happened was the Toronto Zoo was were breeding their pot-bellied seahorses. They had extras. And at that time, we also had extra baby freshwater stingrays that we were also breeding in the aquarium. So we just decided to swap our animals around. And that's how these pot-bellied seahorses ended up in this aquarium. That does happen a lot for aquariums and zoos. Now, throughout our time together, I'll be talking a lot about seahorses. I'll be sharing cool facts about seahorses. And the first thing that I wanted, or another thing that I wanted to talk about seahorses, is to classify the animals or give you a bit more information as to how they are classified in regard to the animal kingdom. Now, seahorses are fish that belongs in a group called syngnathids. The syngnathid groups, they are very unique fish. They are very unique looking. I will be focusing on their unique looks. And specifically for seahorses, I will be sharing some really cool, or I'll be geeking out about a lot of their cool traits. But to share with you a relative of the syngnathid, aside from seahorse, we also actually have sea dragons here in the aquarium, leafy sea dragons. I will just move my camera around real quick so I can show you, but I'll go back to the seahorse in a sec. Excuse me for the movement. But I have some leafy sea dragons, or weedy sea dragons over there. It's a bit difficult to find them, but I'm focusing on one right now. There's a bunch over there as well, and those ones are easier to look at. But you can see they look very unusual compared to other fish as well. I will be highlighting some of their unique traits, some of the traits that makes them unique or that classifies these animals together. Focusing on their head for now, we have one seahorse here that's showing up for our camera. That's really nice. If you look at their head, their mouth is very unusual. A cool fact about the syngnathid group is that their jaws are fused. You heard me right. They can't really open their mouth widely. That makes their mouth act like a straw. For them to be able to eat their food, they would need to suck up their food, which is what you can see happening right now. And they will just eat small things, which would fit in their mouth perfectly. The food that we gave them right now are called mysids. They are live food. We do like to give our seahorses living and non-living food, just so we can keep them on their toes. And we do feed them about 3 times per day. Because seahorses and syngnathids, one thing that makes them unusual, aside from their fused jaw, is that they do not have a stomach. That means food passes through their body quickly, very quickly, and that also means we need to feed them often. Now, aside from their fused jaw, one thing that makes them unique is the fact that their body shape is very unusual compared to other fish. And at this point you might be wondering, or if you've ever wondered why a seahorse would have a very unusual body compared to other fish, That's mainly because different animals would end up developing different traits, or they would have different looking body parts. Mainly because it'll help them live where they live, to help them survive in their environment. This is one part of evolution, having different body parts that they would eventually develop over time that would help them survive. Oh, and from the looks of it, actually, just going back to our camera view, what you're seeing right now is another point of view into the seahorse habitat, and that's how we would put food into their habitat. Those are our mysids, by the way, the live mysids. Okay. Just going back to their different body shape or unusual body shape. These seahorses, they do end up, for a lot of animals, they do end up developing unique body parts or unique traits on their, or unique traits to help them survive in their habitat. This development could take millions of years. Evolution happens throughout hundreds, thousands, even millions of years. It doesn't happen in a short amount of time. But all for the purpose of helping the animals survive where they live. Now, if in case you were wondering, this body shape will actually help seahorses survive in habitats such as kelp forests, seaweed beds, even coral reefs, and mangroves as well. Those are where you would typically find seahorses. Now, aside from their unique body shape, an interesting fact about their body is that in some seahorses, especially ones that are sessile or ones that don't swim a lot, ones that are not that active, they end up developing, they've developed chromatophores on their skin. That means, just like the octopus, these seahorses that don't move a lot can change the color of their skin to help them camouflage better. Um, Aside from the shape that you can see here, animals in the syngnathid group, some of them would look very similar to seaweed. And again, that's all for the purpose of camouflaging or to hide better in their habitat. Another cool fact about the seahorses is that their tails are prehensile, meaning they can use their tail to wrap around things to hold on to things. Think of seaweed and kelp. Seahorses can wrap their tail around seaweed and kelp. I'll try and look for a seahorse that has their tail wrapped around something. Oh, I have one right there. I'll try and move my camera over there in the middle of the screen. Hopefully you can see it. That seahorse has its tail wrapped around a coral. Yeah. Okay, I'll try and move my camera back to focus on the ones that are eating their food. And another cool trait that I wanted to focus on, just to move on to the next cool trait here. This is a fact that most people know about seahorses, and it's that it's the males within this group that would give birth. So, first, I wanted to share with you, friends, how you can tell male and female seahorses apart. By using the example of these pot-bellied seahorses, the females are the ones with a distinct C-shaped belly, like these ones right here. I'll bring my finger into the view. That is a female right there. The belly is C-shaped. And you can see that there's a distinct ending between the belly and the tail. Whereas the male seahorses, they have brood pouches. We have a male seahorse right here, over there. And the brood pouches is that white fleshy part, that one right there underneath their belly or on their abdomen. And the brood pouches, it makes the seahorse look like their belly goes into their tail, if that makes sense. I'll keep on focusing my camera. Oh, we have a pair there. And this is perfect because seahorses, they are known to pair or to partner up for a season. If they can find the same partner the next mating season, they'll probably be mating again. But in one season, they will try and stay together as often as they can. Oh, and from the looks of it, just going back to our other point of view, you might be able to hear our seahorses eat their food. I'll quiet down just so you can hear it. I heard it. I'll just quiet down so you. Hopefully, friends, you heard that clicking noise, and that is them eating their food, the seahorses. Again, that they can make that noise or that sound because they would need to suck up their food through their fused jaw. It acts like a straw. And in that clip as well, you were able to see some seahorses that are tied together. Their tails are they're holding onto each other's tails. That leads us to that brings us back to talking about how they reproduce. Scientists have found that seahorses, a part of their very unusual mating ritual, is that seahorses, the partners, they end up having these mating rituals every morning. That means the pair that would be mating up throughout the season, they would always check up on each other every morning just to make sure that each other is alive, that their partner is alive, and they will be working together just so that they can reproduce. The way it works is the females will eventually be laying their eggs into the brood pouches of the males, and the males will eventually fertilize the eggs. Once the eggs are fertilized, the males can carry their eggs for up to about 10 days, up to 6 weeks. That amount of time might change depending on the environmental conditions. If the temperature or the amount of oxygen is really good, they would have a very short gestation period, or they would carry their babies for a short period of time before they give birth to it. If the conditions in their environment are very poor, then that could take them about 6 weeks, their gestation period, or they would need to carry their babies for up to 6 weeks. Now, once it's time to give birth, the male seahorses can give birth from somewhere between 250 to 2,000 eggs, or 250 to 2,000 babies. I mean, normally it would be it might be good to just think of it as a thousand per birth, if that makes sense. We actually have a video that we found on YouTube that we would like to share with you, friends, just so you can see how seahorses give birth. I'll just see if I can ask Danielle to put the video onto the screen. Hi, there we go. Yeah, that's a really good video of the males giving birth. Again, you can find this on YouTube as well. Nat Geo did a really good job at recording recording this moment. It looks to me like the video unfortunately ended up freezing, but there we go. Yeah. As we watch the video, or if you watch the video on your own time, you'll learn as well that seahorses, even though they give birth to a lot of babies, the chances of the survival rate of their babies is very low. Out of 1,000, for example, only about 0.5% will survive up to adulthood. And that is one reason why they give birth to a lot of babies. They want to make sure that they would have there would be many more there would be a bit of a greater chance for their line or for their species to survive. So yeah, even though they give birth to a lot of babies, only a handful will survive to adulthood. And a cool fact about seahorses, or another cool fact, because I've just been sharing cool facts all throughout our time together. Another cool fact about seahorses is that after giving birth, the males will just need a few hours up to a whole night for them to recuperate, to get the energy again that they need, and then they will be ready to repeat the process of reproduction. They will go through their mating rituals, their mating habits, and then they would carry the fertilized eggs from the female, from the same partner, if the partner is still alive, and the process will repeat itself. Um, Now, to change pace a little bit, just so we can talk about something different, in the aquarium, whenever we do these shows, we like to talk about how these animals or their habitat are doing in the environment, in the wild. So I wanted to talk about the conservation or seahorses and their conservation real quick. Now, I just wanted to say that as with other animals in the ocean, we actually don't have enough data about every 42 species of seahorses out there. So that means these animals are still a mystery. But for the ones that we do know a lot about, scientists have found that their population is decreasing, unfortunately, in the wild. And there are a few reasons that we we've understood as to why their population is decreasing. One is because they were very popular animals to be kept at home in home aquariums. It was only up until a few years ago when this has been when this trade has been regulated. And it doesn't help that they are very unique animals. They look very unique. They are very interesting animals. So it didn't work for their favor. I'm just gonna change my view because from the looks of it, the seahorses are done with eating their food at the top. Oh, we have that view over there. Thank you very much, Danielle. Aside from them being popular in aquariums or at home aquariums, um, they are also still prized a lot in other cultures for their alleged medicinal benefits. That's why they get caught, or that's why they're targeted as well by a lot of fisher people. But scientists are finding that the biggest threat right now to seahorses is the fact that the habitats that they like to live in, the habitats where they survive in, are being threatened by us humans. So some of these habitats would include seaweed beds, kelp forests, coral reefs, and mangroves. Um, there are a lot of things that us humans do to our environment that are impacting these habitats. Say, for example, climate change, man-made climate change, or anthropogenic climate change. What it does to the ocean is directly threatening the habitats that these seahorses like to live in or like to survive in. Say, for example, in coral reefs, climate change is is leading to coral bleaching, which is, long story short, a state where corals are in danger. And it'll definitely impact these seahorses and all the other animals that rely on that habitat. Another thing that us humans like to do in regards to seahorses and their habitat is we humans love to clear out habitats that these seahorses would normally live in, such as mangroves. We tend to clear out mangroves to turn it into land that we can eventually develop and build things on, such as resorts or residential areas near the coastline. These are things that we like to do. Now, how can we help out with seahorses? Well, there are a few ways that I've come up with. First, the fact that you folks are learning about seahorses and learning about what's happening within their habitat is already helping out. You are increasing your knowledge, and every time you increase your knowledge, you open yourself up to the potential to share what you've learned to the people around you to increase other people's knowledge. Another easy way to help out, say for example, with an issue like climate change, maybe we can try and find ways to help out with mitigating or slowing down climate change. Even small ways, such as, say for example, using less plastic, because to make plastic, we do need to process oil. And the act of processing oil ends up releasing a lot of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, which, as we know, is a greenhouse gas that could make climate change worse. So try and find small ways to use less plastic whenever you can. Say, for example, if you could bring with you a reusable bag or a reusable tote bag, that'll with you everywhere you go. That'll help out. Even using reusable water bottles, that'll help out a lot, and bringing it with you. Other ways that you can think of, another easy way would be finding ways to extend the life of your plastic product. That'll help out as well. Instead of throwing them out and buying a new plastic product, try and find ways to lengthen its life, if that makes sense. Other than that, um, there are many more ways to help out with seahorses. Maybe, for example, supporting sustainable fishing. That's always an easy way to help out. If you're interested in sustainable fishing, maybe you can check out Ocean Wise. That's something that you can check out in Google. But yes, I will end it off there at this point in case you have any questions. Let's see if we have any questions.
Hi, friends. We do have some questions. So our first one, I'll just show it on the screen. It says, can seahorses swim?
Yeah, I would say so. As you can see, they can swim, but also, as you can see, they're very poor swimmers. One of the unique things on seahorses, or one of the differences between seahorses and regular fish, is that their fins are the seahorses. Their fins, it's not very effective. The fins that they have on their back, it doesn't really get them that far. I read the statistics on the internet, so take this with a grain of salt. This could totally be wrong, but someone said that for a seahorse to swim across a bathtub, it would take them about an hour to do so, to swim across a bathtub. That's how that's how poor of a swimmer they are.
All right, our next question is, what are the largest and the smallest seahorse species?
Oh, that one is quite easy. Like I mentioned earlier, the largest seahorse in the world out of the 42 species that we know of are pot-bellied seahorses, which are the ones that we have. And I believe the smallest seahorse, let me just adjust my view just so you can see seahorses better. There we go. Since they're done with their feeding, they're resting now at the bottom. I believe the smallest seahorse is a pygmy seahorse or a small seahorse. I believe it's Satomi's pygmy seahorse. Yeah.
All right, our next question is, do seahorses mate for life? Are they monogamous?
Oh, so this is a common misconception about seahorses and a lot of animals, to be honest. But for seahorses, they can mate with the same partner throughout one mating season. Sometimes, if in that mating season from February to October, if their partner ends up unfortunately dying, that means they would need to find a different partner to mate with. Uh, if they could find the same partner during the next mating season, then maybe sure. But most of the time, that doesn't happen. There are a lot of things that happen in the ocean that could lead to the unfortunate or untimely death of a seahorse.
Next one. Why do male seahorses have the babies?
I apologize for the movement of that camera real quick. I'm just trying to find a good view. I think this one's good. But that is a great question. And there are a lot of theories out there. One theory that I've read is that for this behavior, the explanation that we were able to come up with is it's for dividing the usage of energy evenly. Giving birth requires a lot of energy. In most animals, the act of giving birth is put on the shoulders of the females, and that again uses up a lot of energy. But for seahorses, they find that it's a good way to share the distribution of energy. So instead of putting all of that burden onto the female can just focus on making eggs because that also requires a lot of energy. And then so that the males can help out, they are the ones that carry the babies throughout gestation, and they're the ones that give birth to the babies. The males are the ones that make sure that the baby eggs survive. Yeah.
And our last question, which I think you covered a little bit earlier, which is, are seahorses fish?
Yes, they are. They even though they're very unique, they're very different looking. They are still fish. They have everything that a fish would need, or they have everything that an animal would need to have to be classified as a fish, which is a jaw and a backbone.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Toki and the seahorses. And we are so thankful that all of you got a chance to share and learn with us today. As always, if you want to share more things with us, here are our links below, which you can always contact the aquarium. You can see more feedings like this all throughout March break. Our next one will be on lionfish, and it will be again tomorrow morning. So you get a chance to see amazing animals all the time, and you can always stop by and visit us on site at Ripley's Aquarium of Canada. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If everybody can just give a wave to the camera to say goodbye, we will say goodbye to all of you. Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.